How are you today? It is the last Tuesday of February 2026. Welcome aboard. The program is Morning Grill. What we do on Morning Grill is to take a look at societal issues, most challenging societal issues, hoping that most times we prefer solutions to some of these issues. Today, I'm privileged to have one of my cousins that it's been a while we met. I think the last time I was with him is sometimes 2007, 2008, thereabout. And we've been talking, and I felt that let's have him on our moment on Morning Grill so that we interact on a very vital conversation where you and I would say if we're able to get it right, then Nigeria will be a better place for everyone. I've got with me in the building Jerome Muyiwa. I like to call him AJ. Cousin, welcome to the building.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, to you too.
I'm glad to see you, and I'm hoping that as we engage with my listener today, they will also enjoy what we're going to be handling on our broadcast today. So, cousin, our focus on Morning Grill today is tolerance and intolerance in modern Nigerian society. Our focus is the nation's capital, Abuja, Nigeria. Now, I would like you to know that this Morning Grill, we are hoping that the conversation is clearly registered on your mind, because for me, if we're able to turn up the heat on the conversation that matter, we're able to have the right answers. Today, we are asking a powerful question. Are we truly tolerant as a people, or are we just pretending to coexist? Abuja, the capital city, the melting pot, the seat of power, a place where every tribe, every religion, every language, every culture meets. That was what I was talking to AJ about. I said here, with what happened on the plateau yesterday, I felt that here is a home for everybody. So when I'm saying every tribe, every language, every religion, every culture meets in the nation's capital, you will not negotiate for that. Hence, the slogan has always been the center of unity. Now, from Maitama to Maraba, from Gwarimpa to Nyanya, from the mosques to the churches, from government offices to street markets, we live side by side. But do we truly understand each other? Are we raising a generation of acceptance, or are we quietly nurturing division? Today on Morning Grill, we are talking about tolerance, intolerance in modern Nigerian society, with a special focus on Abuja, because if unity cannot work in the capital city, where then can it work? So I think that this is how we intend to lay the background to our conversation as we start this moment. We break it down. Tolerance is not agreement. It is not weakness. It is not silence. Tolerance is the ability to respect differences even when we strongly disagree. Maybe at this point, I will bring in my guest so that he puts his own voice on it. This is the way I want to put tolerance to you. But let's ask him in his own words, because he has loved that we talk on this matter. I don't know why it meant so much for him. Maybe someone says 2027 is around the corner, and before you now know what is happening now, politicians are all over the place, and then Nigerians are struggling to accept one another. So let's have you. What's tolerance?
Okay, good morning, listeners.
Good morning, cousin.
Thank you, cousin, for having me here.
You're welcome.
My name is Muyiwa Jerome Ajibade, and as you have said in your opening, the human race is actually an interesting one, and I must say a relationship is everything.
Very true.
I recall our last meeting, which was back then in Shendam.
Yes,
that's years ago,
very
about
true.
2010,
Okay,
2009,
yes.
2010.
Yeah,
So
I push it back to 2007. It's a while.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
cousin.
it's actually a while. So human race is actually interesting, and it's important for us to have this topic, which is timely and very important for us to talk about.
Very well.
So tolerance is, of course, as you have mentioned, is not agreeing with everyone. It is just creating space where everybody coexists, and it's about learning to live in peace with everyone. With a focus for Abuja, which is a mini Nigeria, I call it, because we have a collection of people from different states represented here in Abuja, And of course, as a power seat, we have representatives of our people from the north, from the south, from the east, west, and the likes. So Abuja represents a mini Nigeria, and yet every day we see interaction that shows a rising impatience, judgment, and hostility. And these are issues that actually cause a disjointed society. So I think for us, it is timely that we're having this conversation. And I must say at this point in time that sadly, the event that happened in just yesterday,
my brother,
our condolences to the families of those that have lost their loved ones. It is not a thing that we should be experiencing as a civil society. The human race has moved beyond killings. We should live in love, we should live in understanding. But then I think this conversation would help most of us to come back to the values of humanity.
Very important. Now, cousin, if you are to respond to the value of humanity, what will that be to you on the flip side of the radio? The conversation is on already, and I intend that as we talk in the course of the program, you can reach us on 0707 242 6258 to put on your own voice on this conversation. 0707 242 6258. You can contribute, you can ask your questions, and I believe that Muyiwa will be able to respond correctly to your questions. So this is how I intend that we drive some more. Someone understands that with what you've spoken about tolerance, they're already having a narrative changed. That is not about me now. Things must not always be my way. Make space for other people. Now I'm trying to look at a space where there are 10 tenants, for instance, in a compound, and they are finding it with the understanding that some people feel that we've been to school. There are ones that are not been to school, and then you're talking about compatibility. At what point do you think we can emphasize the concept of tolerance? Because people will tell you that the knowledge we have is not the same. The way A interprets a matter is not the same way B interprets a matter. So how do we make sure that people clearly understand this concept of tolerance, so that whether you are big, you are small, we are in the same space and comfortably living peacefully?
Oh, okay. When you talk about tolerance, and irrespective of your level of education, first and foremost, I preach to say that you have to be human first.
Important.
And that's actually where it starts from. And it is important that you pay attention to listening. Listening is key to tolerance, because most often times when you have a mindset already, and if somebody is speaking and you don't pay attention to what that person is saying because you already have an objective to say that you want to drive this. So in that case, it causes disjointed relationship, because I already have, you made a reference to say a compound has 10 persons living and all that. And of course, if you take it to say that those 10 persons are not of the same family, they have come from different locations and different tribes and different cultures. So it is important that you train, first and foremost, listen to what that person is saying. Then of course you now have a broad understanding of the topic. And of course, then you're not putting your emotions to now balance it to say, okay, what this person has said does it really, it doesn't really need to make sense, because we had actually said to say that tolerance is creating an avenue for everybody to coexist. You understand? So tolerating people is more of like, you listen to them, what has that person got to say? We have the saying to say that, why not be in somebody else's shoe? You understand? So why don't you look at it from the flip side? You say, okay, what if I was the person on the other side? And that brings about the whole understanding. And of course, we can tolerate one another.
I'm loving this. You just talked about we can tolerate one another with the explanation you've made. Now, I want to look at some of the fundamentals. For instance, religious suspicion, social media attacks, class discrimination, political hatred, and all that. So I like to see how you can respond to this, where we have people within the nation's capital. There are those who are Christians, there are those who are Muslims, and then you find that there's so much suspicion among ourselves. At some point, one has told me at one point of my live radio broadcast that when we say security is everybody's business, it is not just to express the words, but action would help us do that well. And then most times when you are talking about it, it has always come, what are the military men doing? What are the civil authorities as regards to the police, the civil defense doing when you have bandits all over the place? And sometimes they belong to some of these religions. So now some cousins in the family, for instance, will tell you that when you hear bandits, they are associated to a particular religion. So talk to us. How do we deal with religious suspicion when we want to insist tolerance must be appreciated?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Personally, I really don't like diving into religious matters.
Okay.
But then I will try as much as possible to answer that question, to say that in all, what matters most is humanity. You know, whatever it is that you practice as your religion, it was handed over to you.
Absolutely.
So at a point in time, you should have come to facts to say that we are fact checking whatever religion has been handed over to you. So in an instance where, okay, if you take for example, myself, my story, I was born into a Muslim family.
Cousin?
And at the time, parents had decided to say, okay, I will be a Christian. My grandpa, my paternal grandpa, was a Muslim. My dad chose to be a Christian, and I followed suit. I was born into it, so I didn't choose it. It was handed to
you.
But then, with time and age, I've been to discover that religion is not a definition of humanity.
You heard that, cousin?
First and foremost, you have to. Okay, let's take for example. Now let me digress a bit. When you go to the market,
yes, cousin,
you discover that you buy your tomatoes from the man from the north.
Very true.
You buy your red oil probably from
the man from the east.
The man from the east.
Yes, cousin.
And you need both ingredients to make
the soup.
The soup.
I heard this.
So why do you now choose to say, when it comes to religion, you now want to say that I don't want to tolerate this person because he's from the Muslim sector of the community?
Cousin.
It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
So I think it has to be, first and foremost, humanity. Treat one another as a fellow human.
Very important.
So imagine if I poke you with a needle. How do you feel?
Cousin.
You will feel it because it is not because you're a Christian or because you're a Muslim, but there's a sense organ telling you that there's a pain.
Yeah.
So I think it's all around that.
It's okay.
Yes.
Now, look at what I'm thinking. You see, the conversation is big, and for me, we will do our best to be able to communicate as much as we can some of the vitals that we need to live as a people together. Now, I'm taking a look at the modern society. You see, while you insist that we will dwell on the modern society, I was telling myself, I said, in the 60s, 70s, I feel it was easy for people to live together, tolerate one another. But in the modern society, quite a number of things are always not outstanding for us to agree on. So I'm finding this very important and crucial because I don't know why we have to delve on this on Morning Grill. At some point, when the United States president was going to talk about Christians being on the receiving side when it comes to insecurity and loss of lives, conversations have gone to the point where people were already questioning the Muslim ticket and all of that as regards to the Nigerian politics. But someone would have heard you, now our president is a Muslim, the wife is a Christian. I'm trying to see how much objectivity we will have on this now. Now, modern society, knowledge seems to be on the high. And quite a number of people would want to tell you that, okay, I've been here for the longest time and I'm finding it very heartbreaking that we are a people that should fight the same cause of unity. But because of politics, there is so much division. As it stands now, 2027 is in view. What kind of message would you think that Nigerians should familiarize themselves with so that it's not about, I don't want to hope that we will lose lives even when we're talking on the matter of tolerance now. Somebody is not even satisfied with the FCT election that just happened now. Talk to us, modern society, quite a number of things. What are some of the vitals that enhance tolerance in a modern society? What are some of these things? Let's highlight it from your perspective so that it helps the cousin make sense of what we're doing.
Okay, thank you very much for that question yet again. I was speaking with somebody yesterday while I was headed home, and I said that the projection for Abuja
Yes, cousin.
some 10, 20 years ago was not what it is, or rather, it's not what it is today. The number of persons we have in Abuja currently, now it's far outweighed what was seen to be some 20 years ago.
Very true.
If you take a ride from your location, I wouldn't know where you live, and you're driving out of Abuja, and from 5 p.m. in the evening, you see the kind of outflux of people, and you begin to imagine how this can be managed as a community. Okay, now, so 2027, of course, it's by the corner. And I also mentioned to the person yesterday to say that Nigerians were very forgetful people.
Cousin?
We don't pay attention to history. We don't pay attention to activities that happened even in few years back. And so those have made most of the challenges that we have to be quite enormous. And I must say that some of the issues that actually leads to the intolerance we have currently now in the modern society is the urban stress. You know,
urban stress.
You know, if you take, for example, the Abuja city, you
Yeah,
imagine how people want to rush out and rush in, and I keep asking the question, why all this rush? The taxi man you're driving, and the taxi man will just beat the traffic light,
cousin.
you know, and all that. So these are the stress that comes with urbanization. So those are the things that contribute. And of course, we look at the social media influence as well.
Cousin.
That's another entire place of intolerance, where the outrage of culture now begin to normalize harsh reactions. And those, you know, what people practice on social media, you bring it up to happen
In the normal physical life.
Physical life.
Cousin.
I was also digress a little bit. There's this video that was trending some times ago, last week or so, and my wife was saying that video where a girl was actually crying and saying
Yes,
that
the rape case.
rape case and all that. And there and then I told my wife to say that I don't believe this thing.
Cousin.
Only for me to discover just yesterday that
Cousin.
it was quite a lie.
Cousin. And the conversation is that she's not with parents, so she's been troubled and traumatized and all of that.
You understand?
Cousin.
You know, all this result to high level of intolerance. And if you go back to social media and read the comments, some person that's saying this, the person that abused her is from this tribe.
Cousin.
You know, men are like this and like that. You know, so these things actually cultivate a lot of intolerance in society. And if you look at the cultural mix as well too, Abuja brings a lot of people from different backgrounds together. But then, how are we learning to say that I am from Kaba Kogi State?
Oh, yeah.
I have my culture. You are from Lantan, Plateau State.
Yes,
I remember, you know, from in my own state, now, so to say, from where I'm from, I don't eat dog.
But we do.
But
we even call it dog masin.
You understand?
Yes,
so that does not make you. That does not make you. That does
less
not mean
human.
that inhuman. You understand?
Cousin.
That does not make you less human. So these are the things that. So you understanding who your neighbor is, where he or she is talking from, where she or she is coming from, and all this, when you can actually try to balance it, you can have a society where you can tolerate one another.
Now look at what I'm thinking, cousin. I hope that you come on 0707 242 6258 as the number for you to have this live radio interaction. We intend that we hear from you as well. What has been the major thing that has caused you intolerance? That you are not even in a talking term with your neighbor. Most time I've always told people that the way the urban life is, everybody minds their own business. But you see, we're trying to have a clearer perspective of this discourse. Live with me is Mr. Muyiwa Jerome. He is a business development officer at NK Illumination West Africa. He handles the market strategy, partnerships, and business growth initiatives. And today, we are talking tolerance in the nation's capital, Abuja, Nigeria. And I'm hoping that you're making sense of what we're doing now. Would you want to come through on 0707 242 6258 as the number for you to call? Mamsti is one of my producers on this program, and she was like, the calls sometimes have not been coming through most of the moments. I'm hoping that we get it right in the coming days with what the engineers would do. Hopefully you are not stranded, but I believe that in our social media platforms we'll be sharing this conversation so that you follow up, because for us Nigeria is our nation, and we need to protect it with everything that we have. The unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable, and someone would say, if we get it right in the nation's capital, we'll get it all over the 36 states. Hoping that you are able to make sense of what we're doing. Now, we talk the social media, because when you brought in that case of this young woman, I'm already making sense of some of the attacks in the social media space. Like what I told you on the Plateau, someone would say that maybe Plateau is the most hit when it comes to loss of lives as regards to insecurity. Now, I'm thinking, because you see, this is controlled. What we're doing on the traditional radio is controlled, but the social media space is not controlled. So most time when you have hate speeches, it's always in the social media. That's where it can go wild. Now tell us, what are some of the things that we need to do so that in the social media space, I don't look at someone who is from Benue as a security threat to me? What should we be doing to be able to take advantage of the social media to preach more of peace and tolerance, and not sometimes some of this division that we have?
Okay, I must say that this question is actually very timely.
Yeah.
And it's important for us to have this conversation, considering there's so much intolerance on the social media space. And for the social media space, I would say that it is important for people to pause before reacting.
Yeah.
So when you see a post or when you see a conversation, it is important for you to pause, think about it before you react. And it's also important to shift conversations from blame to understanding.
Okay.
When you have a scenario, it is important that you take a thought around it to say that, is this story promoting societal cooperation, or is it causing division amongst people? And also, we also have at the community level, social media posts or whatever it is, actions happening, to encourage dialogue, open space dialogues. And this starts from the schools, from religious spaces, from youthful platforms, and also we should also look at instances where cultural spaces are also used to encourage the abuse of the social media platform. So these all put together would help us to have a social media space where it is healthy, where people can have healthy conversations. I understand, again, on the flip side, that most of this conversation on social media that actually generates high level of intolerance are actually targeted at making money.
My cousin. But
people try in making money from, because I don't know, we the Nigerians, we have gotten to a point where we get so much interested in, I want to use the word now in quote, bad stories. And most of these bad stories actually cause so much intolerance. Just because I want to have followers, I could end up bringing up stories that will cause so much societal disintegration. So there's a lot happening on social media space. But then we should, as individuals, especially those listening, have the privilege of listening to this conversation, to have a subpedal
very important
on the activities that we engage ourselves in on social media space.
Interesting. Now look at what I'm hoping to have done. 0707 242 6258. I keep releasing the numbers. Maybe at some point I will be lucky to have you get the live radio broadcast. If not, a message can come through. We'll take it. The big questions possibly on your lips that you might want to respond to now, as we intend that we take you on, is: have you ever experienced discrimination in Abuja because of your tribe or religion? Do you think intolerance is getting worse or better? Are politicians feeling division? What does real tolerance look like to you? These are some of the questions that I would have loved that if you can, you would reach us on 0707 242 6258 as the number for you to respond. Again, have you ever experienced discrimination in Abuja because of your tribe or religion? Do you think intolerance is getting worse or better? Are politicians feeling division? What does real tolerance look like to you? These 4 questions, I think if you're able to answer it correctly, you possibly would have helped make the conversation easier and simpler, with the understanding that going forward we will tolerate and live together in peace and harmony. But this is the point at which I would also want to hear from Mr. Muyiwa, because this is very vital. With what it is, do you really accept that the nation's capital belongs to every Nigerian, or some locals are being taken advantage of? I've had a program before now, we call it Hello Maize on radio, where some of these people who are the locals feel that why would somebody come in from Kogi, why would somebody come in from Lagos, why would somebody come from Plateau, and begin to claim they want to contest for an election. So I want to have you talk to us. The fact that this houses every Nigerian, is it truly a place for everybody, or the locals are being, what's the right word to use? Dehumanized or marginalized. That's the word. Talk to me. You got it. Yes, cousin.
So this is quite dicey.
Okay. Okay.
And it's quite broad. But then, as a Nigerian, I want to believe, if I'm not quoting correctly, but then I think it has shades of truth in it to say that the Constitution permits you to live wherever you choose to live.
Very true.
And you can relate with whoever you want to relate with. So Abuja, it's the state capital, and has been designed to have everyone to be part of the city or the society, Abuja. Yes, for the locals, I think for me personally, I must say this personally, my opinion,
yes,
that the locals were not seeing forward.
Okay. When you say they are not seeing forward, how do you mean?
They were not futuristic.
Okay.
And
Okay.
They didn't have themselves aligned, and probably those coming from other states actually taking advantage of the capital. Now, considering the democracy system of government that we operate, whoever wins the seat as the president takes over the seats, and of course take over the city. Now, for example, now I'm dressed this morning.
Yes,
you can tell that I'm speaking of the West.
Very well.
I recall in the last government of the late president, everybody would want to dress the way he was dressing, and even myself as a man from Kaba will dress that way, and ordinarily you will not tell if I'm a northerner
or a westerner.
You understand?
Very well.
So Abuja actually has the opportunity to have everybody enjoying the benefits that comes with it.
Right.
So the locals themselves, I would say that they should up their games and come forward. And I think I wouldn't want to speak about the government because I'm not a politician.
I understand that.
You understand?
Yes,
but I think the government opens its arm to everyone. Once you're making an impact, of course you can now as well be relevant.
Now, talking about relevance, I hope that you understand that in less than 315 days, the elections will be up. I'm actually working on something with the latest signing of the electoral amendment bill by Mr. President. We're hoping that INEC will shortly come out to tell us that there is a change in date for elections. So I'm hoping that you make sense of why we're insisting on tolerance in the modern Nigerian society, with Abuja as a focus, housing all of the Nigerians people. So I'm thinking that if we would speak some more to help a cousin, someone would say during elections, tribal lines become visible. And this is the point at which I want us to sincerely be objective with your submission as you talk on this, because I think that if we're able to address the root causes of our issues where we don't tolerate ourselves, it will help us a great deal to have a very wonderful nation. So talking about tribal visibility when it comes to elections, because someone feels that as it stands now, the West is in power and so everybody is just doing their own nepotism and all of that. Now, you would help us make sense. At what point can we silence tribal visibility when it comes to elections? Are we going to have a clearer perspective where a Nigerian knows that they are not voting for tribe, but they're voting for capacity,
Competence.
Now, help us make sense of this, because I'm not just talking for the want of it. I want to be sure that our words will carry so much weight to change narratives of Nigerians. Because I'm feeling that most time the support is about this man is from my area, this man is, and then the intolerance coming. And some people want to tell you that for the longest time, it looks as if some people have not been in power for a while. So talk to us. At what point can we silence the loudness of tribal differences during elections?
So, reference to the question and elections.
Yes, course.
I think there are fundamental issues
All right.
that has been carried over years when it comes to leadership.
All right.
Leadership has been seen as a thing of a set of people and for the people. Democracy actually is defined as the government of the people.
Yes, sir.
For the people.
By the people.
But then I think it's more of like a set of people, and that is why it has always been a tussle from the north and the west over the years. And that is why some persons feel that they've not been allowed to be part of the deciding factors when it comes to governance.
Yes, of course.
So as election comes, and it is important for people to know that whatever thing that comes on board is for everyone to enjoy.
Very well.
And in an instance where you do not tolerate people because they are aligned with a particular party or they are aligned with a particular tribe, then of course you're causing a societal distortion.
Very true.
So it is important for people to realize that election is just a phase of life which will come and pass. Even government itself. Same yesterday I was saying I had visited my tailor 2 days ago rather over the weekend, and I said to him that most of my clothing I had during Buhari tenure.
Yeah.
Now I am changing it to
my cousin.
A cousin now, which is the president Tinubu, because I just want to go with the trend. So it is more of like a face thing. It will pass. So it is important for you to tolerate your neighbors, tolerate those that are in different parties away from the party that you belong. So these are just understandings that we should have, and it will help us tolerate one another.
Now, Muyiwa Jerome loves the concept of tolerance, and that's why we are on it, and we would have the conversation sustained up until 10. But I don't want us to be selfish. I just wish I could hear from you, cousin. 070-7242-6258 is the number for you to call. Let's hear what you have to say about tolerance with the modern city, Abuja, Nigeria, as our focus. How much of an experience have you heard? Has anybody insulted you before now because of your religion? How did you handle it? Maybe because of tribal jogs, you got offended at some point. Let's hear you talk on 070-7242-6258 so that we're able to have clarifications done on this live radio. Now, this is the next thing that is coming to my mind, because I'm feeling that at any point in time that somebody feels insulted, what should they do? Can you defend your faith without feeling insulted? Someone would need to hear from my cousin, Mr. Muyiwa. Can one defend their faith without insulting another? Because as it stands, I'm bringing this one deliberately because Ash Wednesday last week was when the Muslim faithful also started the fast. And I'm like, God can be very easy. The thing started at the same time. So help us. Let's make sense. How can we handle it?
So
okay, send the message for me. Let me hear what she's going to say. Yeah, cousin, go ahead.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. And Elliot said that it's all about humanity. So all this divide that we have, either being a Christian, a Muslim, or a traditionalist, whatever, all these are just societal setup. I would call it. So if I may say again that we had mentioned earlier to say that tolerance is not about losing your values. It's about learning how to live peacefully with people and looking beyond how they behave, because nobody will behave exactly the way you are behaving. So when it talks about religious intolerance, it is for us to know that we're all first human. I don't want to take the conversation away from that.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, when you die, supposedly the tell us.
I think we have somebody now. Finally, I'll still bring you in. Yeah. Good morning, cousin.
Morning, my name is Ola. I'm calling from Papa.
Ola, talk to us, please. Go ahead.
Ola.
Okay, go ahead.
This is we need to hold ourselves as one, just like when one said, as a one nation, we need to be together. FCC is not just meant for the individuals, it's meant for everybody.
Because
Because we are a great nation, and we have a lot in our long way to go
yeah,
to build this country and make it right for ourselves.
very true. That's the way to
So
go.
we shouldn't be sentimental about religion or tribe. We need to hold ourselves as one and keep food together.
All right.
Things will work out. That's just all I have to say. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, guys. You've done well. I appreciate it. I have to appreciate it. Now, Moyo, I like that while we are talking, quite a number of people hold opinions, but I'm insisting that our opinions will be the supreme today, because when you talk about being humans, I feel that it will not be too much an emphasis to make, because with what has befallen us as a people, you would want to feel as though, at what point did we miss it? Because the fact that a cousin can be mined, because you need to see the pictures of some of these people that were killed in Dorua, in Plateau State. You were like, are these human beings that perform this kind of acts? Do you understand? So it's a matter for me, and I'm trying to be sure that we are able to register this understanding of tolerance. So you were making your point as regards to the issue of one not feeling insulted because of religion when you are trying to step on this person's toes and all of that before that call came in. So would you want to sustain your thoughts and then bring us to the point where, because I feel it's at the extreme when you are even taking life because of intolerance. Help us out.
So I agree totally with Mr. Ola's comment I just called now to say that I want to take it back to Abuja first, to say that Abuja has the potential to be the most tolerated city in Nigeria, because it represents a collection of all Nigerians in Abuja. When I mentioned earlier to say that first and foremost you have to be human before you talk. You need to be human first before you talk about being religious, because religion does not even define the quench for thirst. Say I'm thirsty for water now, and of course we take it back to our values as Africans. Africans were hospitable. If I go to your house now as a Christian, back in the days that I'm aware of,
Our cousin.
forget about whether you're Christian or a Muslim, and I ask you for a cup of water, you will gladly issue me, or gladly offer me rather, a cup of water, and I will drink. And in most cases, we've heard to say that they'll ask, is it enough, or you want more, or is it something else you want? But in the modern day that we have now, because of the divide that religion has brought, and this actually goes down to the leadership of respective religious
I was coming
sects.
to that, but thank God you stepped into it, because I'm like, would you think that the religious leaders are doing enough?
Yeah.
Preaching this language of peace and tolerance?
No, it's not enough,
Cousin,
and it can never be enough.
cousin.
Considering the incidences that's been recorded in Nigeria, and with reference to what happened just yesterday,
Yeah, cousin.
you know, if the Christians are being maimed, and the Muslim leaders as well are so rising up to say that this is wrong, and saying it full chest,
Yes, cause
followers will take suit to say that, why don't we have this conversation?
very true.
Now I understand that we have the CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria,
Very well.
also have probably the Muslim Association of Nigeria as well too. These two bodies can come together and have conversations,
Very important.
continuous conversations.
Yeah, of course.
It should not be a one-time conversation, and it should not be a reactive conversation. These conversations are conversations that should go on.
Cousin.
So it is important for us as people to first and foremost put on the cap of humanity before religious sentiments.
I heard this.
Yeah.
Now, cousin, I believe you've also been following. I love that you would rather hear us talk some more, whether you are in a very good place or not. We insist that the language of tolerance going forward after today's 24th February broadcast on Morning Grill, a cousin walks it, a cousin acts it, a cousin breathes it, because that's the way to go. We are first human. If there's anything you've actually heard from my guests, the emphasis has always been we are first human, so we need to treat the humanity that we've got. Someone would need to have it at the extreme to say humans are meant to be tolerant more than any other species that is on here. So I'm hoping that you make sense of it. My producer is telling me that we actually shared Christmas and Salah on the same day, apart from Ramadan and Lent. It's just the Ramadan and Lent down there is very fresh in my head, and that's why I'm insisting that we must talk to it, because I'm hoping that our religious leaders do the needful. Now we'll begin to wind down this broadcast. The understanding, I'm trying to drive it to schools now. Like my daughter, 6th of March, they will be doing Cultural Day. I want to say the way it's coming to me. You see, Nigeria is a multilingual society with over 500 different languages, but it has always been the Yoruba, the Hausa, and Igbo that is the predominant. So some people have always felt what other tribes and cultures not being appreciated like this. So I'm trying to talk to schools where you would want to help us out. How should schools promote pluralism and respect to relating? Because I feel if the young minds are able to understand the concept of tolerance, it will help us a great deal. A parent had put up a notice on my daughter's school platform, calling every child irresponsible just because the boy's calculator was stolen in his bag. And then she concluded that the school is not a good school. Now I'm trying to, like, at this point where the spiritual will say, train up your child in the way they should go so that when they are old, they're not going to depart from it. At what point should we master the concept of tolerance, even in schools? Because I feel if we get it there, we're already having a better place.
Okay, thank you for these thoughts again. And if I pick it from the point you started, you did say that cultural norms and all that being taught in schools. But unfortunately, the modern schools that we have now, we don't have all these cultural things being taught. Apart from the fact that yes, there's a day to celebrate cultural day, you know, which is more of like fulfilling righteousness. We don't get our kids being taught, because as at this morning I still had to fill my daughter's communication book. And if you check all the courses that they have or the subject that they offer in school, you don't see where they say they have classes for the Yoruba or the Igbo language or the Hausa language. All those things have been like extinct, except you go to maybe write WAEC. That's when you say, okay, you can see Yoruba language. But I don't think in primary schools all those thoughts.
When you're doing jam.
Exactly, you get all those. Maybe in secondary school being taught, but in primary school where we take them young, we don't have all those cultural things being taught. So it is important for the syllabus and all that to also have a collection of cultural learnings, such that my daughter that is coming from Kaba in Kogi State will learn the cultures of the Lantan man,
our cousin,
you know,
or the Ibiraman.
And I don't think this idea just came to my head now.
Okay.
Schools could also adopt taking statistics of the tribes that are representing their schools, and have maybe groups where pupils can be made to learn the cultures of their fellow classmates.
Yeah, cousin.
So all this at that point will help us be to drive drive the message of tolerance.
Interesting.
When somebody that knows that the man from Kano
Mm.
and the man from Enugu can coexist from the very beginning.
Cousin, my producer is saying before we wind up on this conversation, we should focus more on tribalism. I don't know. You might have experienced this too. Most times, it's like favors are gotten on this basis. let's have you conclude for us with this. How do we overcome this and be sure that we tolerate ourselves sincerely, not just words?
So,
Uh-huh.
so okay. Tribalism can never be taken out of the Nigerian society.
Cousin.
And I must say that for me personally, I've enjoyed so many favors out of tribalism.
Okay.
You understand? Even last night, because yesterday I didn't come to town with my car. I decided to. I've been so tired because driving is actually work for me too. So I decided to take a cab. And then when I alighted to take a bike to my financial, which is my home,
Yes, course.
the guy I rode on his bike is actually an Hausa guy. Pretend I don't understand Hausa.
Hausa.
I speak Hausa, I speak Yoruba, and I speak a little bit of Igbo.
Cousin.
So
You're
it makes
more-
me fit in
linguist here.
anywhere I go in. It makes me fit in. So at first I was speaking English to him. Then I just realized that the guy was really fluent with me, and I really wanted to have a conversation with him. So I started speaking Hausa. And the guy was just jacked into another mood, and he became so different, you know. And we had a smooth conversation. I told him I was going to stop by to get a loaf of bread, and started, so tribalism cannot be taken out. But then it's important for us, back to the conversation,
Yes,
to say that you need to understand people. Take time to understand people, even if you don't understand their languages. Take time to understand them first as a human. Feel the pain points, such that you cannot have a society where we cannot tolerate one another.
Interesting. I believe that we've had a very good time with you on the flip side of the radio. I appreciate the caller who came through, one of our cousins who contributed on this broadcast today. But I must appreciate my guests for doing justice to this discourse on tolerance with the modern society, Abuja as a focus. Is Jerome Muiwa. I like to call him AJ, as I've always told you. The Business Development Officer at MK Illumination West Africa. He handles the market strategy, partnerships, and business growth initiatives. Maybe one of the days that I will have you again, we'll talk your this at that time we'll have some anointing higher so that we can have that clearer perspective.
Of course, please.
Thank you so much for honoring us, sir.
Thank you very much. And if I may say as a closing, thank you for what you do here,
Thank you, cuz.
talking about societal issues and trying to see how we can actually improve. There's a long way to go for us as Nigerians, but then it boils down to each and every one of us taking a conscious leap within your immediate environment. Whatever you can contribute goes a long way in contributing to the larger society.
Indeed.
And I must say that Abuja is a city of opportunities, and it brings everyone together. And if we learn to tolerate one another, we turn diversity into strength. And that gives us the society of our dreams.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
All right. Somebody is calling. Okay. We are wrapping up and then you're coming through. Where have you been? Maybe next time if I'm having cousin AJ again, we possibly would have you talk with us clearly. But we appreciate you once again for your time. We conclude by insisting that the nation's capital Abuja, we cannot preach unity and practice prejudice. Very importantly here, that we cannot demand fairness and deny others respect. Tolerance does not mean losing who you are. It means being secure enough in who you are to allow someone else to be different. If Nigeria must rise, it will start with conversation like this, and it must start here. To the heart of the nation, this has been Morning Grill. Cousin on Radio remains my name. I believe that we can be firm in our beliefs, be bold in our voice, and also be human first, as my guest kept insisting on. I believe you will have a powerful day today. Mamsti, thank you for being part of the production. Patience, you've done well. Morning Grill continues with You and the Law. Do stay, don't touch it.